Welcome back to Daily Encouragements. I'm tired. I'm very tired. It's been a long week. I've been behind the eight ball the whole week. I've been trying to catch up. I haven't quite caught up. Today's my day off. Usually Bunny and I have Fridays off. In fact, the whole Whaley family has Fridays off for the most part. And I'm still working. I think it's 6 or 7. I'm still trying to get ahead, which just even catch up, but get ahead for tomorrow because I know there's going to be a lot of work tomorrow. And I'm tired, man. I just haven't rested. I haven't slept well. Sammy, as beautiful and as wonderful as he is, he's starting to roll around in bed, and Bonnie's just loving being with him. So she brings him into bed at early hours of the morning, and he sleeps better when he's like that. And so he'll be kicking me at 7, 8, and there's just no rest for the wicked. So I'm tired. I was supposed to do a recording of a preach that we're airing on Sunday. I was supposed to do that yesterday, and I was just too tired. I couldn't think clearly. I couldn't construct my thoughts properly. And I was talking to Jaden, my younger brother, who's helping me record and produce so much stuff and do it really well. He just said, "Sean, you're tired. Go home. Just go rest. Go and shape your thoughts a little bit better, get a little bit more clarity, and rest." And I think sometimes we put a pressure on ourselves. I know I do, and maybe that's an oldest child trait, but I think everyone has this for a degree. They certainly wear the weight of responsibility and disappointments and setbacks and that sort of thing. But when you're feeling responsible or you care about something and you want to do something really well, you can feel the weight. You can feel it bog down on you. And when you are not in a restful state and you don't take time out and you don't have extra fat and you don't have extra buffer, it can really hurt you. It can hurt not just your performance, the very thing you care about, whatever that is, but it can hurt your soul. It can actually grind you down to you start to lose parts of yourself. You know, as Christians, there's a lot of people who will then try and double down on working hard and doing this and doing that and getting the anointing and all this good stuff. There's all good stuff there. Nothing of that is bad. That we should all do that. But I look at Jesus and he starts to get pushed around. He starts to get demanded. The demand is made of him in the crowd. And people are starting to try and ask him for stuff and get teaching and healings and all the rest. And he says to his boys, "Listen, boys, make sure you get my private plane. I mean, a little boat ready the next time we're in this part of the world." And so just the next chapter, I believe it's in Mark 3 verse 9, it says, "Because of the crowd, he told his disciples to have a small boat ready for him to keep the people from crowding him. For he had healed many, so that those with diseases were pushing forward to touch him. Whenever the evil spirits saw him, they fell down and cried out, 'You're the Son of God.'" And so he had this demand put on him. He had the crowd pushing on him. He had demonic activity. He had healing. And it's amazing to think that Jesus was saying, "Guys, we need to have a plan B here. We need to have something else. We need to have some buffer. We need to have some order here. This is ridiculous." And so at the end of chapter 3, or at the beginning of chapter 4 of Mark, Jesus says, and again, the Bible says, "And again Jesus began to teach by the lake. The crowd that gathered around him was so large," here we go again, so large, the demands, the pressure put on him, the expectations, the potential for him being pushed around and demons trying to throw people at him and all the rest. He said the crowd was so large that he got into a boat and sat out on the lake, while all the people were along the shore at the water's edge. He taught them many things by parables. He got into the boat, and then he sat in it out on the lake. Jesus understood the value of rest. He understood the value of barriers, of buffers, of not letting the demands overtake you. And that's one thing that I'm learning, and I hope this is encouraging you looking at my failure. I'm not good at building buffers and barriers and boundaries, and I'm not good at keeping the wrong people out of my life. I have this weird thing where I'm trying to help others, and those other people would rather take from me more than I'm willing to give, more than I'm able to give. And so I run dry, and it's a hard thing to even say, but you've got to make sure that you can look after yourself, because if you don't look after yourself, then others will just run you dry and then move on to someone else. And they'll go and run someone else dry, and they'll just leave you for dead. And I always think of of an experiment where they took a very clever literally he was a rocket scientist, very clever guy. And they were trying to explain to him the concept of making sure that when you're at 50,000 feet or whatever, 30,000 feet, and the gas mask dropped down, the oxygen mask, to always put yours on before you help your child or your wife or whoever else. And so they did a test where they put him in a pressure chamber and they take the oxygen out of the chamber. And as they take the oxygen out, this clever man is being tested with simple child games where you have to put squares in little shapes and in little like round balls. And when you put the square in the wrong shape, it doesn't fit. And he was struggling to do what 3-year-olds can do because of the lack of oxygen. And when they started shouting him, "Hey man, put your gas mask on, put your oxygen on, you're gonna faint, you're gonna pass out," he looked at them, not understanding what was going on, and just was laughing. And someone had to rush into the chamber and put the oxygen mask on him. And as the oxygen was starting to fill his lungs and his mental abilities and faculties were coming back to him, you can see him start to enter a state of shock because he realized how close he was to passing out and potentially death. And when I first watched that video, before I watched that video, I always thought, no, I got to help others before I help myself. You know, the secret to joy is Jesus, others, and then yourself. And there's an element of truth to that, and there's a good nature in that. That, you know, Jesus said, if you want to be great, you must become a servant. So serve others. I think that's a good thing. But when you go past that barrier, that boundary, that buffer, where you are now running out of reserves, it's like that oxygen being depleted, and you can't function. That means you can't help anyone else. So I love it when Jesus is getting bombarded and demanded from, and he's having to produce and teach, that he then goes, get my my boat ready, make some buff. And he set out from the edge so he could still teach and still perform miracles and still help people, still serve people, but it was from a place of sitting down. It was a place of rest. And it was on his terms. It wasn't on the crowd's terms, because the crowd would just be fickle and move on to the next guru or whatever. And Jesus understood, no, I've got to minister from a place of rest. I want to say that is probably the hardest component of the faith equation. I think that faith is first revelation. It's first seeing something so that you can reach out in faith. It's then a response. There's an action that's attached to the revelation that you get. And then the hardest component, which is why Hebrews 4:11 says, strive to enter his rest. There is a hard work component to resting. When you've got things coming at your mind, where you've got worries, where you've got pressures, where you've got disappointments, setbacks, you've got deadlines, it is very difficult to rest when all of that is coming. And I felt God recently challenge me. Sean, are you able to rest despite the challenges? Or do you have to fix all the challenges before you can rest? Because what that means is my capacity is significantly less to handle responsibility and pressure. Because if I have a linear fix a task so I can rest, then fix the next task and I can rest. If I have a linear mindset rather than a parallel mindset, where I can handle multiple different responsibilities and multiple different tasks and still have rest, I can actually produce more, I can handle more, I can be responsible for more. So I'm just talking to you off the cuff. I didn't script any of this. I fumbled my way through it. I hope you forgive me for being quite tired. Mentally, I'm very tired. And I hope it encourages you to see that even in my tired state that I'm attempting to communicate that it's not good to be in this tired state. I think it's good to work and to then get tired, but then it's good to go and have a rest. So I've got a little bit more work. I've maybe got an hour or two left, and then I'm going to go and rest, and hopefully tomorrow I get some good rest. And because we pre-recorded Sunday's message, I'm going to work hard to rest on Sunday. So I hope that encourages you. If you're stretched, if you've got too much pressure, if you're burdened, if you're weighed down, maybe you need to make a lifestyle change in some of your activities, but maybe you need to make a people change. Sometimes people can take from you and they shouldn't be. And so you need to change the boundaries of those relationships and put barriers and borders up. It's not that you have no relationship, it's just that you do it on the terms that work for you. And if people love you, they'll understand. They'll respect those boundaries. If people are just using you, then they'll get upset and they'll get angry. And you may have to escalate that to another level of confrontation. But I'm not trying to make you do more work. I'm trying to release you from burdens and Sean, if you're watching this, I hope this encourages you to take some rest. Bless you guys. See you tomorrow. And so, just the next chapter, I believe it's so Jesus tells us boys to get the boat, to get a private plane ready, to get a boat ready. And in Mark 3, in Mark 3 verse 9, it says, because of the crowd, he told his disciples to have a small boat ready for him to keep the people from crowding him.